Good morning. It's June 18th, 2014. It's Roger Ebert's birthday. Happy birthday, Roger. Thank all of you for coming to our Google Plus Hangout. I'd like to introduce our guest. I'll start in the studio. We have acclaimed director and friend, Werner Herzog. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
We also have acclaimed director and friend, Alan Polsky. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. And before, we're going to have Matt Zoller Seitz from Rogerebert.com moderate for us, but let me introduce the other guests so far. First, Ann Thompson, Thompson on Hollywood at IndieWire. Good morning, Ann.
Good morning, all. Happy to be here.
Okay. Next, we have director John Singleton. Hi, John.
Hi, Chaz. Good morning, everyone.
Oh, okay, I like this. We have sound effects, special effects this morning, John. Great. All right, our next guest is Josh Golden from Table XI, who actually worked with us so much in redeveloping Rogerebert.com. And Josh, thank you. You were just so good with Roger in helping redevelop. Good morning. What would you like to say?
Good morning. Nice to meet everybody.
Okay. Our next is the beautiful Kartina Richardson, who was on our Ebert Presents at the Movie Show, and we also did a stint together in Morocco, not in jail, but for the the film festival there. Hi, Kartina. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning. Great to be here. I have my Eberfest mug.
Great. Glad to see it. Next, we have the editor-in-chief of Matt Zoller Seitz, of Rogerebert.com.
I need an editor-in-chief in my life. I just need a note of that.
Okay, Matt, do you think I could persuade you to do your Marlon Brando imitation? I know I caught you off guard.
I don't know, Chaz. It's just maybe ask me in a little while after I've finished eating this salad corn sandwich.
Oh, okay. All right. After we do the introductions, we're going to hand it over to you, Matt, to do some questions and answers.
Okay. Great.
But let's continue. We have Sam Fragoso from Movie Mezzanine, and also Rogerebert.com. Good morning, Sam.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. John's on the screen. Hold on. There we go. Okay.
And next we have, hey, it's the director of Life Itself, Steve James. Good morning, Steve.
Great to be here.
A little more enthusiasm. Are you really happy to be here?
I'm very happy to be here.
Okay, great.
I couldn't be happier.
All right. Who else do we have?
I think that's everyone.
I think that's everybody.
Okay, great. Oh, wait,
Ali.
no.
It's Ali.
And from Istanbul.
Oh my God, it's Ali.
Oh, Ali, hello, great. We didn't know whether you'd be able to join us today.
Absolutely, wouldn't miss it for the world.
Lovely. This is one of our far-flung correspondents from Turkey, Ali Arikan. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
What time is it there?
It's not too late at all, actually. It's only 9. It's only 10 past 9.
In the evening?
In the evening, yes.
Okay. Great. Glad that you could join us.
Thank you.
Okay. I have to do one thing first. I have to sing Happy Birthday to Roger.
All should. We all should.
All right. But we'll do two versions. First, we have a birthday cake. So, thank you. Can you see it?
Yeah.
The birthday cake?
Yeah.
Okay, will you help me sing, please?
All right.
Okay.
3. Happy. Oh wait, no. How do you sing? Happy. I sing
Traditional one first.
Wonderboy.
Hang on, I've got my tuning fork here.
Okay. How do we sing? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday,
Roger.
Happy birthday to you. Now, will you hold the cake for a minute because now I have to sing my special version. Happy birthday to you.
ya.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Okay, now I'm going to be embarrassed later, but you know what? Right now it's just joy, pure joy. All right, let's move on. And I'm sorry that I can't. I'm going to give you some like the cosmic birthday cake. But now let's move on because what I'd really like to do before Matt starts is moderation, since I have both Werner and Alan in the studio, and they made a movie that gave Roger such joy. It was really so, he just found this movie so amusing. Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. And I'd like for them to start talking about a little bit of that. And
well, first of all, we should be cautious about the title. For a while, people believed it was a remake of Bad Lieutenant, but of course, it's a completely different story. It was only one of the producers owned the rights of the title, and they believed they would make a franchise out of it. I always wanted to have it Port of Call, New Orleans.
Oh.
And so Alan and Gabe, his brother, joined into the production, and it was a wonderful, wonderful shoot in New Orleans. After a day and a half, we knew this was going to be big, and it was going to be very, very hilarious. And of course, Roger enjoyed the film like more than anyone else. Yeah, he rolled in laughter. Actually, it is a very, very funny film. It has very dark humor. It's not just Eddie Murphy type of fun. It's a very dark, very intense humor in it.
Werner Herzog style of humor.
Okay. Yeah, Roger talked about that film a lot. And Alan, can you tell me, when did you first become aware of Roger?
When I was really young, obviously, growing up in Chicago, I would say, the biggest names in the entertainment business were, Roger Ebert, the memorial, yesterday that we went to, and John Hughes, I would say, and Harold Ramis, and Roger, I remember watching the TV show with him and Gene Siskel. Was it called Thumbs Up, Thumbs Down?
It was actually At the Movies.
At the Movies.
Yes.
And, watching that show religiously, and, they just had such a wonderful way of explaining, the films and laying it all out in a very personal way. I think that was sort of Roger's, he was able to really kind of bring his personal style and wit and, without kind of telling you how you should take the movie. I think he kind of laid it out and in a way that made you either want to go see it or not want to go see it. But pretty young.
All right, thank you. And Werner, of course, you and Roger had many interactions over the years.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know how far it all dates back, but it was certainly probably even before Aguirre, The Wrath of God, and I made that film in 1971-72. So that's probably where almost everyone who is watching was not even born yet. So, and Roger put Aguirre into his 10 best list of all time in some of my other films, in his best 100 films of all time. So, but it's not that it impressed me that much that Roger put it into this list. It was more a very deep respect for the man. You see, we never had a real friendship. We never were buddies or so. We had
Yes.
very deep respect for each other's side of looking at movies and creating movies, looking at movies, bringing our whole existence into it, and also our, it's not private life, but our somehow our soul into everything.
Yes. Roger, because there was still a professional wall between filmmaker and critic, but Roger recognized in others when there was like a, as you say, a deep respect for the medium of a film, and he actually did put into his film reviewing, he put his whole heart and soul into it. He didn't think that movies were just movies, just for entertainment, sometimes for entertainment or sometimes for other things. That's why I loved his reviews so much. You could really read about, you could see the empathy that he talked about for people and you know, stepping into someone else's shoes, figuring out what it was like to be just for 2 hours a person of another race, of another gender, another age. And so I would like to bring Steve James in as well, because Steve James is the director of Life Itself.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Did you have a question for me, or?
Oh no, I was no, I didn't. I thought that you wanted. You could say anything you want to say, Steve.
Well, my first encounter with Roger was when I was first falling in love with film, and actually began to study it a little bit when I was in Southern Illinois, and I kind of tripped across the show. And you know, I have to say, my first thought was, this is a interesting kind of different show, but why do they have two guys from Chicago reviewing movies? You know, because it seemed like it was a national show, and I didn't quite understand, you know, because I never thought of Chicago as being a hub for you know, for movie criticism.
And why not?
Well, because, you know, I'd read about New York and you know, Kahai de Cinema, and you know, reading Andre Bazin and all these people, you know, didn't really think of Chicago that way. So it was, you know, but it was really exciting and interesting to see these two guys debating films and doing it in a very intelligent and thoughtful way. And because of that, I really kind of fell for the show. And so when I moved to Chicago some years after that, you know, back then you couldn't get the Chicago Sun-Times online, you know, like you can today. So when I moved to Chicago, I started to read Roger's reviews, you know, regularly, and I was amazed at the breadth of his writing, the number of films, sheer number of films he would review each week, and do them in depth. And so I became a real fan. And so, you know, at the point in which I began, you know, my first film came out, and his
what was that film? What about the film Hoop Dreams? How was that experience for you?
Well, I mean, you know, when that film, the sort of extraordinary thing that Roger and Gene did when that film came out is that, you know, it was just going to play at Sundance, and there was no distributors, but he and Gene went on their show while the film was premiering at Sundance, and, you know, basically said that there's no place you can see this film except at the Sundance Film Festival right now. But we really hope that this film gets theatrical distribution, and you know, that was a huge boost in the arm for that film's prospects, because it was a 3-hour documentary about two kids from Chicago that no one had ever heard of. So it was an extraordinary thing for them to do.
You know, what you're saying reminds me of the first time I met John Singleton at the Cannes Film Festival. I think he was there with Boys in the Hood. John, can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
I'm out of the country. I hadn't even had a passport before then. You know, I get off the plane, and you know, the publisher from Columbia Pictures says Roger Ebert wants to wife, and I was like, what? Me? You know, so I guess we all went to a small restaurant in the late afternoon, and we sat and talked, and it was phenomenal because I only known Roger from watching at the movies on PBS, and sneak previews. I mean, at the movies, I used to have to get it on the channel 8. I used to have to move the antenna around just to get it. You know what I mean? Just to get it. I remember those times. And so to sit with you, Chaz, and sit with Roger and just talk about not just boys at the time, but movies in general was a phenomenal thing for me. It was like, I felt like, wow, like I'm coming out of San hello?
Hello? Are you
Did you hear
still?
what I said?
Yeah, well, we heard most of it. You felt like you were coming out of, I didn't hear that part.
I felt like I thought when I had a dinner with you and Roger, I felt like I was really part of the cinematic family. This family of people that actually make films and people that actually review films, support films. Roger was support films that a lot of other critics wouldn't support. You know, Roger was a full advocate of filmmaking as a bridge to bring different cultures together, to show other people different worlds. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, growing up in Los Angeles, where I'm from, that's what film was for me, to go to different places, to see different things, to experience different things. I remember the first time I saw, Aguirre, the Wrath of God, you know what I mean, like in film school, and I was like, wow, this is an interesting thing to look at colonialism, you know what I mean, like, and Roger was an exponent of that. He was an exponent of film as something that could basically make cultural ties between different cultures worldwide.
Yes. And one thing that you said when you first met Roger, the conversation echoes something that Werner said, and is what I've seen over the years with Roger and filmmakers. That usually when he's talking to someone, it's not just about their film. He really honed in on filmmakers who were so interested that they were interested in filmmaking as a whole. So the conversation wouldn't be just about one thing. It would be about the history of film. It would be about, themes or different genres, or it was just, about preservation of film,
Yes,
really.
yes.
So,
What Roger really reminded me about was the fact that film is a reflection of life. I mean, when we turn the cameras on, it's not actually reality. We're trying to recreate reality. We're trying to show reality,
oh my God,
in a spark. You know what I mean? And so we're reflecting reality.
you
And
have to
so
signals.
his reviews and also his passion for films really reminded me of that. You know what I mean? Like, like that we have kind of a duty really to make our own personal self-reflection on film and bring that to the world in whatever kind of way. It's like having a conversation. Filmmakers are also having a conversation with the world by whatever we do, whether or not, even if we try to do something that we feel it's just like, just for entertainment value.
Right, right.
We're having a conversation with the world.
Okay. Thank you, John. I was supposed to be, keeping up with time a little bit, but what you were saying was so interesting. We are going to call in, I think it's Ann Thompson who's right there, because Roger always admired your writing as well, Ann. And
Wow.
yes, and so I'm
He
really,
was always very generous to me. He was always. I would see him at festivals, and he was just. He would take me under his wing and be curious about me, and why that would be. I never understood, but and to see him at Cannes in action. I remember there was a dinner at the Majestic Hotel, and he had the whole group at the table. He was the greatest storyteller. He had us laughing so hard. No one told a joke like Roger. the main thing I've always thought was really fascinating was that at the end of his career, his voice, he really pioneered in a way what the new criticism online can really be. And one of his strengths as a critic was to read, as a lot of people are saying, was to be very engaging, and he would engage readers and get people to engage in a conversation with him, as opposed to being a sort of ivory tower from on high. I'm going to tell you what to think about a movie. That was part of his gift on the television series as well with Siskel. You know, they were able to just be accessible, and I think that quality in his writing, when he went online, became a new model for how critics can be in the online age, and I really admired him for figuring that out.
Thank you. And when you talk about the online age, our next speakers, Roger met, I think, both Ali and Kartina online. Which of you would like to go first?
Ladies first, I suppose. Which is why I shall go first. No.
You're always such a gentleman, Ali. Okay, Kartina?
Roger, the first thing that's always has struck me about Roger first was his incredible energy. He just had such amazing energy and enthusiasm for film, and such faith, a really transformative faith in not just filmmakers or his writers, but in his readers and viewers as well. So, I mean, there was always a sense that he was not protecting something or protecting his identity, but he was always trying to open himself and share. And so he would, I think it's extremely important that he would reach out to voices that are not usually in the mainstream in other countries, or people of color and women. That was like extremely important for those writers, for myself, and also for his readers, to see that. I mean, because sometimes it does take a white man in a position of power to say, yeah, these voices are legitimate and you should pay attention to it. And that's huge, like hugely transformative, and that was amazing. That's the biggest thing for me. Like it definitely changed my life. It was life before Roger believed in me, and then after.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Ali?
Well, the one thing that I definitely miss about him, apart from the writing and the reviews and the intellectual insight that he used to get, not just through his reviews, but especially from 2007, 2008 onwards in his blog, it's just the fact that he was a very nice guy, you know. A lot of people, this might actually sound like an obvious thing to say, but he was a genuine nice person, a genuinely nice person, which I think is very important, especially in the entertainment business. And like it or not, criticism is a part of it, especially now, especially in the advent of the internet age, whatever. So I think that is very important. And he was, it was funny because a couple of months ago when we were doing something else, I think for Matt Seitz, something for the site, we were going back and looking back at our correspondences with him. And the last year or so, apart from stuff that we talked about when it comes to the site or when it comes to Ebert Fest or something like that, apart from that, it was mainly other stuff that Roger and I would talk about. Politics, you know, anything but film, really, and music and all this other stuff. And this does not mean that, you know, I had some sort of monopoly in my friendship with him. On the complete contrary, he was like this with everyone. He was like this with everyone that he met, and every single person that he communicated with. He gave them the time of day, and this, especially from Steve's film, that you get the sense that he used to be like that with his friends in real life, especially until he met you, Chaz, where, you know, he was a genuinely nice guy to his friends, but perhaps not so much to other people around him, but after he met you, and you know, after maybe he got older, he got a bit wiser, and he spread that love to not just as a media circle, but to a much wider one. So I think the internet was very useful in that respect for that. Finally, I just miss him. You know, he was a nice guy. We'd talk about anything, and he'd talk to anyone about anything. And it's you know, it's you just end up missing the person that you could send a bawdy joke to, and then you know, a couple of board jokes later, you'd start talking about something slightly deeper, slightly more philosophical. There aren't that many people like that around, not anymore.
I agree with you. He was a great joke teller and also a deep thinker, and he was a great guy. He was curious about things. He really loved life. He loved people. You know, maybe I had a moderating influence on him and some of the things to soften that thing that he and Siskel would have going. But he was, yeah. I want to bring in, I think Sam Fragoso and Josh Golden there. Josh actually did a lot, got to know Roger a lot better in the later years when we were working on revamping the website. And what insights do you have, Josh?
Well, you know, I was just thinking back to that moment when I first met Roger. At the time, I was splitting time between Chicago and Toronto, and you were at the festival with Roger, and we were talking about doing work on Ebert Presents, and I walked down the street into the hotel and into your suite, and you know, there was you, whom I'd already talked to and previously met, and you know, Roger Ebert, and it was just this moment of, holy, this guy is real. And this guy is real, I think, is a perhaps most accurate characterization of him in many different facets of the word. He just was so transparent and honest and straightforward, and a brilliant everyman, and accessible by people from people all over the world, and all different walks of life, and all different socioeconomic backgrounds, different languages even, and you know, working together on the site, looking at where the traffic comes from. You know, there's never a logical time to take Rogerebert.com down for maintenance, because the Aussies get really mad when you do it in the middle of the night in the U.S. So he's just, you know, he was just a real guy, and appealed all over the world, and it was a real honor and pleasure to have the opportunity to help him build a new home for his life's work.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Sam, and Matt, I'm keeping you there last because you had many ongoing communications with Roger that I want you to talk about, but let's have Sam Fragoso step in.
Yeah, I think Kartina said it best. There's, you know, life before Roger, and then there's life after Roger, and for me at least, he changed my life, just reaching out to me and saying, hey, you can write and you have a future, and which is insane, because I was a high school student. He had no reason to reach out to me, and my experience is not, you know, many people have similar experiences, but Roger wrote a letter, he wrote an email, he tweeted out something saying, hey, this is good, you should read this, which to any writer would mean the world to them, and it meant the world to me, obviously, as a junior in high school who certainly didn't deserve his affection, and he was great. I owe everything to him. So.
Matt?
Well, I in the process of editing the site, I deal with a lot of writers, and I try to have as much personal contact with them as I can. I prefer to talk on the phone whenever possible, because sometimes tone gets misconstrued in emails. And one of the things that I've discovered over the last almost year and a half of doing this is that journalism right now is in a state of very low morale. Very low morale, and a lot of the people who are doing this job, and by this job I mean criticism, cultural reporting, they don't have any faith in their profession. They don't see, a lot of them don't even see what they're doing as work that is respected, and much less work that's part of journalism. And if you look at how the language has changed, we've all been conditioned to think of journalism as a product now. We don't call it an article, we call it content. We call it a post, and so forth. And all of these dehumanizing sort of commercial terms are meant to beat down the writer and beat down the artist and the thinker so that they feel that their work has no value. Roger was really, really a great bridge between this older era of journalism when people learned to craft. It was possible to go get a job, make a living, learn your trade in practical terms. And the one we have today, which is mentorship, has pretty much disappeared because it's so hard to get a job at a magazine, at a newspaper. There are some websites that are hiring. Things have gotten a little better, but it's still really rough. And that's all just a wind-up to say that when I think of Roger, and we were discussing this yesterday, Chaz, the word that springs to mind most of all is journalist. He had a tremendous pride in the idea that he was reporting. He was a brilliant wordsmith, and he did have that populist knack of explaining things to people without seeming too pedantic about it. But in his heart, he was a reporter. He was a shoe leather reporter who saw part of his mission as going out there, seeing what movies are out there that you haven't heard of, and showing them to you. And that's why so many people, after Roger died, said that to one degree or another they owed their career to him. And there are people in the movie, in life itself, who say that. And I just don't think we can stress that enough. And so much film journalism right now is the tail wagging the dog. We see 25 articles a day on the new superhero movie, and we need more treasure hunters like Roger. And we're trying to do that on the site. There are some other sites that are trying to do that, but I would like to see it be kind of an internet-wide phenomenon where we're going off the beaten track whenever possible.
Matt, you just reminded me of something. While I have Werner next to me, I have to give you an apology. You haven't seen the movie yet, and it looks like I'm making fun of you. There's a part in the movie where it looks like I'm making fun of you, and I'm really not.
Okay, I can take anything from you, anything.
Okay, but what you say in the movie about Roger being a soldier of cinema meant so much to me, and it actually made me cry. And when you talk about walking down Hollywood Boulevard and seeing his star on the Walk of Fame, and you don't look down. The way you see it, I don't want to give it away because
I forgot.
you've forgotten and you haven't seen it. But I just, it was really touching to me, and I'm so glad.
Yeah. Well, I will see the film when it's going to be released next Thursday.
Okay, you're
I'll be at the theater, and from then on, it's going to hit the theaters.
Oh, you know, yes. Oh my God. You know what we have to do?
Yes.
The film. Oh my! I thought that this thing was going to seem like it was taking a long, long time, but actually, it's gone so quickly. What we were supposed to do every 10 minutes was give away tickets, and so we're going to have to give them away now. Let me tell you, Life itself opens the July 4th weekend in a certain number of theaters, and then July 11th and others. It rolls out from there. But you were talking about the LA premiere,
right?
So let's give away those tickets first to the LA premiere because Werner Herzog will be there. I think Alan, you may be there as well. It's June 26th, and do you see a little red Life Itself paperback book? I have my questions in the book. And we have Q&A on the side. We were supposed to take questions and answers from everyone. Okay, I have questions, but I need to take we're going to give away tickets, but first I need to do this. Here are some questions.
Are these the trivia questions, Chaz? Or something else?
Oh, these are questions. No, not the questions that you and I discussed. No, these are questions from our participant viewers.
Oh, great. Yes.
Do they see them as well? Okay. All right. Yikes. Okay. Okay. Now it looks like I'm having a party by myself, but All right, let me find some questions that I can actually answer. All right. This is from George McCann. This is a wonderful, and I can't think of a better way to honor such an amazing man. Cheers to Mr. Ebert's wonderful life and legacy. That's not a question. I just like your comment, Mr. McCann. Here's a question from Soren. Soren Hugh. Hello. This is the hipster scientist. How much do you think Mr. Ebert's position as a more emotional film critic affected his success, his writing, and the impact he had on his readers? More emotional.
Can I take a stab at that?
Yes, but I want to say well, no, you go right ahead. Matt?
Oh, just that's the thing that people talk about when they talk about movies. They generally, unless they had a film course or two, they don't talk about the shots or the editing or the lighting or anything. They talk about how the movie made them feel. They want to know what the movie's about and what's the tone of the movie and how is it going to make me feel. And these things are important, and Roger recognized that. And he was very clever in how he recognized that, because he always began almost every review with a summary of the movie's kind of emotional wavelength, how it's going to make you feel, and maybe a little hint of how it's going to make you feel those things, and sort of what is this movie's view of the world. The philosophy of a film was very important to Roger, and it didn't have to agree with his own personal philosophy as long as it was coherent and articulated in a very clear way. And then he would go from those two things and kind of branch outward and teach you a lot of things that maybe you didn't know before. But he always made sure to start with the feelings and the worldview of the movie, and that was a kind of a beautiful trick, because it means you get to the end of the review and you've learned a lot of things and you didn't even know you were in class. There's a brilliance to that, I think.
Yes, I agree. Okay, the other, this question is from Charlie Kaus, K-A-U-S. What film released since Mr. Ebert's passing do you wish you could read his review of, and why? There are several. When I first saw Gravity, that 3D thing that Alfonso Cuarón developed, I knew that Roger would have gone crazy over that. Generally, he didn't like 3D, but he liked the 3D that you used in Cave of the Forgotten Dreams.
Yeah.
And he also thought that it was, but I know that he would have loved it, loved that. Also, Her, the movie with Joaquin Phoenix and the intelligent system on the computer. I know Roger would have gone really, really. When I was watching that movie, as a matter of fact, I, for a moment, forgot that he wasn't with us any longer in this plane, and I looked next to me to see how he was reacting, because that's what we would look at each other when we would watch movies together, and we would either look at each other in the dark or squeeze each other's hands if there's something we really liked, and it was like, oh my God, he's not here, and this is a movie that he would totally 100% relate to. And there are others, of course. Did Terrence Malick have a movie after that? Well, no. There are some others. I can't think of offhand, but that's a very good question. And there are others. Here's one. I'm going to ask, and any of you, please jump in on this, because please jump in on this if you have any ideas on it. This is from Duat Vesti, V-U-A-Y-T. If I didn't pronounce your name right, forgive me. But your question is, in later years, Roger brought up morality in his reviews. Why do you think that is? I'm going to ask any of you, why do you think, and do you think film critics should bring up morality in his reviews?
I don't think that. No, you go ahead, Murray.
I think it was something he always had in his reviews, in a way, because it was an attitude towards the world, and of course the world was shifting, and it became more necessary maybe in later years, because as we heard before, things shifted away from newspapers, from the magazines. They just dumped all the film critics, and everything shifted over to celebrity news. That's what is happening, and this is why I think the show at the movies is not going to continue ever with anyone else. It has shifted into celebrity news, and of course the value and values within films became something important. And he was such a great communicator, I think, and a great rapper, a great speaker. And I think we talked about it once with Roger. I talked when he was scribbling notes and he lost speech. I said, what an injustice. What an incredible injustice. The two best speakers and rappers that I know, Muhammad Ali and you, through your afflictions, you cannot speak anymore. And he would kind of chuckle and write a joke on his notepad and hand it over to me. And this kind of silencing of him physically, his voice was silenced. The silencing of him somehow coincided with the shift of everything, that things have shifted much more into the internet, much more to the digital world. And he was very savvy and very quickly adapted, and he was all internet, and blogs and communication. So the transition from his physical silence into a new era was significant. And the transition from serious discourse about cinema versus celebrity news is also a transition that he somehow opened and started.
I'm so glad you're here.
I'd like to add to that. The thing I found about Roger from reading his reviews and getting to know him some, and from reading his memoir especially, is that Roger seems to me was a moralist, but not a moralizer. And there's a real difference there. You know, I think he combined a very rare quality of being, at his heart, a true moralist in the best sense of the word. But he didn't go around passing judgment on everybody's behavior, passing judgment on what people wanted or desired, and in fact had a very healthy embrace of life in all its pleasures, and did not view people, in that moralizing way. And so for me, one of the reasons I really liked the way he dealt with Blue Velvet, the film Blue Velvet, was that was a film in which he had a moral indignation at the way in which Isabella Rossellini was treated by the film. And this from a man who had made films with Russ Meyer,
yes,
who clearly loved, it wasn't about nudity. It wasn't about showing a woman's breasts. It was about the way in which
he was all for that.
Yeah, his problem was about the way in which she was treated in the film, which is very different from saying I have a problem with nudity in a film.
Right. Yes. Thank you, Steve. I have a note here from Jen Shim, H-I-M. I'm just super happy to be able to attend Roger's birthday celebration. Thank you. It's wonderful to hear these remarks from people whose lives he touched. Roger was and continues to be my North Star for all. Thank you, Jen.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful way to put him at place in the sky.
Yes, yes.
The North Star.
So we're ending, but we have to give away tickets. And so the first question, and this is how it's going to be. I have a question, and the first tickets, because Werner is going to be June 26th at the Los Angeles premiere of Life Itself. Here is the question. And those of you, we see your responses on the Q&A. So here's the question. What was the last full movie review Roger wrote before he passed away? When you start seeing the answers coming up, will you please read some of them off to me, please? Those of you in the Q&A, if you're still with us, for the pair of tickets to the Los Angeles red carpet premiere of Life Itself on June 26th. And I have to tell you, it's just, right now I'm just giving away the tickets. You have to get yourself here, and it's not transportation, but it's tickets to the premiere. Do we see any responses coming up? Okay.
A lot of Googling going
Keep
on right
talking.
now.
Okay. All right.
Googling furiously.
Oh, that's right. People are probably Google. Oh, you're Googling. Okay. I guess that's allowed. Okay. The second question, and this is for a pair of tickets to the Chicago premiere. Which famous musician was born today, the very same day and the very same year as Roger? That's question number 2. And that that will give you 2 tickets to the Chicago premiere of Life Itself. And the third question is,
That was the main question.
what was the, and this gives you the tickets to the, which city? New York. New York. What was the animal or mammal in Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, that amused Roger so much that Nicolas Cage had the interaction with? That's the third question. So, say it.
Was it a mammal?
No. It's a reptile.
Okay, reptile. Which?
Yeah.
What was?
Definitely not a mammal.
What was the? Yippee! What was the? What was the reptile?
Clarified that. That's good.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the question number 1 first. Do we? Okay. Let's go to Okay. Question number 2. Question number 3. Okay. We're gonna just keep talking. Come on, jump in, anyone. Let's keep going until we get to the answers.
A little clue, I suppose, for the. Should we give clues?
Is it okay?
I want to ask Werner a question.
Oh, okay, Alan, you asked Werner a question. That's allowed.
In regards to the final question. So Werner, I don't know if you remember this. I hope you do. But we were in pre-production for Bad Lieutenant, and I didn't know Werner really at all. He detached himself to the movie, and we kind of quickly went into pre-production. And to get to know Werner, my brother and I asked him to come on this alligator trip where we got in this boat and we drove around in the rivers and basically fed alligators these chicken wings.
Oh my God!
These raw chicken wings. And I wanted to ask Werner, was it that trip that, and sort of the interaction with the alligators that gave you the idea to put alligators and the other answer into the movie?
Yeah, we won't give away the other reptile.
Yeah.
In a way, yes, because I pick up things that come along. Excuse me. I see the world and I see things and I get fascinated. Oh my God, all the swamps, all the bayou is full of alligators. They look at you, they come, you get them chicken wings. So, for example, there's a car accident where the Bad Lieutenant Nicolas Cage arrives and tries to bribe one of the policemen out there. And it's not caused by a deer, as it would be in, let's say, near Chicago or so.
Yes.
You run into a deer and your car spins over. Here there's a huge alligator that's dead in the road and the car spun over. So yes, I pick up these things. I absorb it in the films. The texture of a film becomes much more rich. And then I discovered some other creatures, I won't give it away now, which fascinated me, and I said, I need this. Let's find some of that kind of reptile. I want to have it in the movie. So, but it was not in the screenplay.
I know.
So you're completely right.
Oh, that was not in the screenplay.
Not in the screenplay.
So I
yes.
guess that means that we deserve credit for that? Just
in
kidding.
a way, yes, but at the same time, the alligators deserve the credit because they were all around New Orleans in all the swamps. So, but you pointed me at it. You brought me out in a boat, and so
Yeah.
that's how movie making sometimes functions.
Which is one of the most interesting things in the movie, I think.
Thank you. That was a good question. Thank you, Alan. Okay. Aha! Wow! Guess what? We get to select the winners after the Hangout because we have some interesting situations here. So we want you, we're going to tweet the answer with /hashtag Ebert Hangout. So that's #hashtag Ebert Hangout. So, thank you so much. Thank you for helping me celebrate Roger's birthday. I know that he would love it. He would love it. He was so much a part of the digital media revolution, and he, he just liked the democratization, I would say, and the communications. You were right, Werner. Roger always was an early adopter of technology.
Yeah.
But after he lost his physical voice, the way to reach out and really communicate with people, this meant so much to him. And as a matter of fact, on June 28th, I will be in Washington, D.C., picking up an award for Roger from the National Society of Newspaper Columnists. He actually won an award for his last 4 months of writing from last year. I don't know which award it is. They don't tell us until I get there, but he's won an award for blogging for like the last 4 or 5 years in a row. And they always said that he had some of the best commentary and essays on blogs, even on other means of social discourse, Twitter and Facebook. But the thing that also he had was some of the most interesting and intelligent people who answered. So the comments section. Sometimes the comments can be pretty mean on social media, but Rogers is always had pretty decent comments. Well, does anyone have anything before we bid everyone goodbye? And I want to thank you all for joining us. This will live on YouTube. And before we, Ann or Josh or Kartina, Ali, Matt, Steve, somebody, Sam. Okay. Yes, I see you, and I think we've lost John. Who is that? Oh, that's you, Matt. I'm sorry. It looks different from here. All right. Does anyone have anything to say before we bid everyone goodbye?
Goodbye. It was fun.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Have fun.
Thanks for hosting this, Chaz. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Steve. I look forward to working with you more as we move forward.
His soul's still dancing.
His soul is still dancing. I agree. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. Namaste.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.